Hey guys, it's Miss Lassiter. I'm going to talk to you today about multiplying a decimal times a whole number. And I'm going to start by looking at this problem, which says 2.4 times 3. I want you to think of 2.4 is the number 2 and 4/10, which is between 2 and 3. So the answer for this problem should be bigger than 2 times 3, which is 6, and should be less than 3 times 3, which is 9. And so the answer for this is going to be between 6 and 9. And then I want you to look at the problem without the decimal point, and we're going to do 24 times 3, and we get 72. Well, we know that the answer can't be 72, and it needs to be between 6 and 9. So we then locate the decimal point in a position so that the answer, the 7 and the 2, forms a number that's between 6 and 9. So we put the decimal point between the 7 and the 2, and we get the answer of 2 and 4/10 times 3 is equal to 7 and 2/10. The next way we're going to look at this problem is we're going to think of the pieces of 2 and 4/10 as pieces. So when you multiply 3 times 4/10, we get 12/10, which we then rewrite as equal to 1.2. And then 3 times 2 whole is 6. And then when we add those two together, we can make them be the same length, and we get 7 and 2/10 again. I think that this is a piece to look at in pieces and then you combine them, and it's very much like traditional stack math. Again, we have 2 and 4/10 times 3. I want to think of this as we've learned to multiply fractions already this year. So if I take 2 and 4/10, which written as a fraction is the improper fraction 24/10, and multiply it by the whole number 3/1, we then get 24/10 times 3/1, and you multiply straight across, which we get 72/10, and which is the same thing as 72 divided by 10. And we've talked repeatedly that when you divide by 10, everything moves one place value, and we then get 7.2. Some people like to think of, oh, don't bother with the decimals, deal with the decimal in the end. So they say just do the problem 24 times 3. I do that, and I get 72. I then go back to the original problem and I count how many digits are there to the right of the decimal point. So there's only 1, and so my answer has to have one number to the right of the decimal point. So I then input the decimal point so that it is a decimal with one number to the right of the decimal point. This is kind of a simplistic way of just memorizing how to get the problem done. I would like you to understand why we are doing that, and I think that is more evident from the previous explanations. This next picture is a number line representation of multiplication. We've talked about the fact that multiplication is repeated addition, and my loop-de-loops, my hops, are supposed to be the exact same length, but I'm not completely accurate. But you can see on this picture that each hop looks like it's 2.4 units long, and so it's 2.4 units long, and there are 3 of them, so we end up at the final destination of 7.2, which is 7 and 2/10. And also take note that we did start at 0. So basically I start at 0 and I do 3 hops, each 2.4 long, so I end up at 7.2, 7 and 2/10. This is another problem that is similar to the page before. Again, you can see there are hops, 3 of the same size, and so we're doing 3 leaps, so that's a multiplication by 3. The question is, how long is the hop? And again, each one looks like it's 2.4. Obviously, if I was asking you to do this, I'd have to be more accurate in my drawing. But then the difference between this and the previous page is that my hops do not begin at 0, they begin at 1.1. So I start out at 1.1, and then I do 3 hops, each 2.4 long. So by order of operations, I would have to get my 7.2 plus 1.1, and I would end up at 8.2. 0.3. So this is a good picture representation of starting at one location and then taking equal-sized hops and where your final destination is. Please pay particular attention to these because I really value these. The last version of this problem I want you to think about is I want you to think of, again, this is 2 and 4/10. So really what I'm doing is I'm multiplying the 2 and the 4/10 by 3. So 3 times 0.4 is equal to 3 times 4/10, which is equal to 12/10, which is equal to 1.2. And then we would have to multiply the 3 times 2 wholes, because the 3 times 2 is equal to 6. So then I have a total of 6 and 1 2/10, which is equal to, again, 7.2. You might take time to review this one more time and see how your understanding of it is going. Thank you. Oh, and also one other thing, if you take note right here, this 12/10, you can't write the 12 in the in the tenths column, so you have to regroup it and make it into 1 whole and 2/10, which is again your 1.2. Thanks. Bye.